Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for downloading episode 95 of We Got This with Mark and Hal. Happy holidays to you. We're so happy to bring you this special holiday episode. We're also happy to bring our show to San Francisco on Saturday, January 14th at 1 p.m. at the Punchline in San Francisco. You'll be able to see Mark and I live with some of our friends from the Thrilling Adventure Hour. How do you get tickets? Go to sfsketchfest.com. You'll find all the details there that you need to come see us in the Bay Area. We can't wait to join you there. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast and you're new to it, we'd really appreciate it if you'd go to iTunes and leave us a rating and a review. It helps new people find the show. And if we're growing, then we're caring. I just made that up. But what I didn't make up was this episode 95 of We Got This with Mark and Hal. Actually, I did make it up. Enjoy. Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all. Best holiday lights.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcast should have a theme song. Podcast should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Happy holidays, Hal.
Happy holidays to you, Mark.
Oh, man. One of these days we're going to be in the same room, and it'll be in a week, and I'm very excited about it.
I'm excited about it, too. I was imagining a scenario where we were both wearing sweaters and there was a frosted glass window and snowfall outside, but it'll be here in Southern California.
Well, that's what I am at right now. Are you in that situation at this moment?
No, I'm in Southern California. It just gets to the 60s and then people go, oh, it might rain. And that's the worst we get it.
Well, why don't we ask our special guest what the situation is where he is, if he is surrounded by fireplace and sweaters and cinnamon scent.
Yes, we are joined by someone who I discovered through Joseph Fink, the creator of Welcome to Night Vale. He has his own podcast called Sleep With Me, which it will help anybody fall asleep. Like it is there to help your mind just drift away. And he is Drew Ackerman. Drew, welcome.
Oh, thanks guys for having me on. I have a sweater covered in potpourri, and cinnamon stick in my mouth. So I'm ready to go.
Like it's a cigar.
Yeah. Your diction is flawless. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Is that that's how you practice? Is you put the cinnamon stick in your mouth and then try not to blow out the candle? Isn't that what you do when you're practicing mic technique?
Right. And then I start it on fire so that it has an extra added pressure and it smells good. You know, puts me in the holiday spirit.
I love it. Well, thank you for joining us today. And I'm glad you're in the holiday spirit because we have a very important holiday topic to discuss today. Hal, if you will.
Yes, I will. This was actually suggested to us by Craig Newmark. Yes, that Craig of Craigslist, but he got it from Consumer Reports. So I'm going to give them equal credit. And they want to know whether, what the best holiday lights are. So the original debate was whether it's better to have multicolor lights versus traditional white lights. But I think we've expanded it a little bit more, and I'll let you go into the criteria more, Mark, of how we're going to judge these. But we've expanded it to be best Christmas/holiday lights in general.
Yes. So what we would like to do today is we would like to break it down into 4 categories. And as we go, we will eliminate half of the types of Christmas lights with each category that we go through. So the first category, large or small bulbs. The second category, LED or incandescent. The third category, colored or white. And the fourth category, twinkling or solid. How's that sound, Drew?
Wow. I mean, why is it shouldn't used Christmas lights be on there too versus discount Christmas lights in honor of Craig? But
Yes.
Yeah, if you have a
Personal Christmas lights.
if you have a missed connection with your Christmas lights.
yeah. Oh boy. I think we live in this wondrous time of Christmas lights. So I think this is like a perfect topic for you guys to put the hammer down and decide for once and for all what is.
Well, there's so many that you can reach for.
Yeah.
And we're trying to help people out. If you haven't already gotten your holiday lights up by the time you're hearing this, though, you are the last guy in your neighborhood and everyone already thinks you're a Scrooge.
Yeah.
my holiday lights from last year are still up. They just haven't been plugged in yet. So
Perfect.
Do you have like a ceremony? Like how into decorating with lights are you, Drew? Is it like a big deal? I mean, where are you coming from on this?
I'm big into thinking about it and like imagining that one year when it's going to be awesome. But it's perfect timing because so I'm also all about deals. So that's like, I'm like, wait a second. I've never looked on Craigslist for used Christmas lights. Come January 2nd, even though I don't put them up, like last Christmas, everybody had those laser things.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah, we didn't include that. We should have. Or should we just eliminate it?
They're
now?
eliminated.
Yeah, I think it's too early. You know, the judgment's still out. But so in January, I bought one of those on discount, and I did plug that in. And then my neighbor said, "Dude, you can't. You're killing me with those lasers." So I unplugged it.
I feel like that's the problem. Unless you live on acres and acres and it is only hitting your place, there's no way to make sure that those Christmas lasers are not beaming into your neighbor's home and they think, you know, like the CIA is outside targeting them.
Yeah. Then
Right.
It becomes like Christmas Vacation where the next door neighbors are blinded and they destroy their entire house because the lights keep blinking at them. And now are these are the ones that project onto the exterior of your home. Is that right? Is that what we're talking about with lasers?
It's like these two lasers. The one I have, it has two lasers and it must go through some kind of filter. We need a laser scientist on here, but, and it somehow gets, I think it's like it spreads the laser out like maybe a prism or something and shoots all these beams. And I was looking at it and I was like, in 1980, this thing probably was worth like $12,000 and now it's $24. I mean, it's the same thing they use in laser shows. You just need a fog machine and I was shaking it and I was like, oh wow, it's like a mini laser light show.
Yeah, like
now, have you thought about putting a fog machine in front of it, out in front of your house, so that you see the beams of these lasers shooting up at your place? Or is that a waste of money as you are a deal guy and the fog would just dissipate?
I think that is, I mean, I wish I was the kind of person that could like handle dry ice because I would be like, man, like a fog machine or dry, like I've always wanted to be that person either at Christmas or at, Thanksgiving or no, a Halloween that really does it up.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the guy who has the cauldron in his front lawn.
Exactly. That would be, but
yeah.
Then I'm always like, that seems like a lot of work.
Well, those fog machines, you know, they run on like a fuel that's called fog juice. And the last time I was in New York, like last month for the Thrilling Adventure Hour show, I was walking around backstage at the Bell House and they had a giant jug of fog juice. And
did you drink it? Because anything with juice in the title, you would expect to drink it, right?
Yeah. I did have a sip of
apple juice, orange juice, fog juice.
I took one deep sip, and then 3 days later, when I woke up in the hospital, I realized it was probably not a good idea. That goes in the fog machine. That was when I put it together. So I'm here to tell you.
Yeah, when you woke up in the hospital, were things a little cloudy?
Yes. Oh, come on. I'm hanging up.
I'll see myself out.
So, Mark, what about you with holiday lights or Christmas lights? Growing up, was it a big show? You seem like the kind of guy who would have a huge presentation in your home that you've carried on through the years.
Growing up, my dad one year in our house, my dad is Clark Griswold when it comes to the holidays, and outside of our house, he hired a transvestite orderly friend of his who also sold guns. These are just little details that I remember from my childhood and love.
Okay.
To set up Christmas lights around every seam in our house. So everywhere that a kid would draw a line when drawing a picture of a house, there were Christmas lights. The entire exterior, every right angle, the eaves, around every window, around every door, so that from the street, our house looked like, someone had drawn a perfect house on a light bright. And those remained on our house for years. And we would turn them on every Christmas and turn them off, for the rest of the year. And, having to do it one time was great because like you said, you would just, you just, flip them on. You haven't flipped yours on yet for this year. I highly recommend you do it, Drew. For God's sake, it's getting close.
Yeah. I got to
But as for me now,
your house, man, this sounds amazing.
Yeah.
it was pretty crazy. It was a lot of fun. We also had a 2-story Christmas tree. My dad was nuts about Christmas.
What did you cut a hole in the floor?
No, we our living room was tall and we had like the second floor where the bedrooms were was a loft.
Okay.
So we had a tall living room. So he would put a 2-story Christmas tree in there. And as kids, we would help decorate it. But we're not very tall. So we would only be able to do like the bottom ring of decorations. And then my parents had to schlep out the big ladder and decorate the rest of the thing.
They didn't,
but now
they didn't bring in that walking plot of an independent film from the mid-90s to do that decorating as well.
No, Gus didn't come by to do that part. He just did the exteriors.
Oh, I want to meet Gus.
Gus was awesome. Yeah, Gus was a buddy of my dad's who just did like handyman stuff. He was kind of a jack of all trades.
Awesome.
I could go on about Gus forever. But nowadays I have Christmas lights up permanently inside my apartment. We have like a molding across the top of it. So we hung Christmas lights all along that molding and we leave them on pretty much year round.
Okay.
We just swap out, the wreath for, an old record. When it's not the holidays. So we have a record up on the wall where the wreath goes. It's really just a placeholder that is there 10 and a half months of the year. What about you, Hal?
Growing up Jewish, we didn't have a traditional Christmas tree, but I always lobbied really hard with my parents. Here's a secret about Jewish people. And I don't think I'm talking out of school here. We love Christmas. We love it. We love the music. We love the decorations. We love the spirit of it all.
It's pretty secular.
It is. It is a generally secular holiday. So I always pushed we had like a Hanukkah bush. So that was like our little indoor shrubbery that we covered in lights. And then when I went to college, I got lights. And when I moved out here, I had lights. So I was also, I'm very enamored with lights. I have very strong opinions. Even driving home, today, I was looking at the different decorations, and I may go out tomorrow and drive around the neighborhood to see who's decorated, just because I love seeing those decorations so much. And to me, that's something that I always wanted to do as a kid, that now as an adult, I get to participate in, especially with a wife who's Christian. I actually get to legitimately celebrate and decorate for the holidays.
As opposed to your illegitimate childhood holiday.
Yes.
Come on, Hal.
I still like them.
That's our next episode, not this one. Best religion. We said we're going to do. I know you keep harping on wanting to do it. We'll do it eventually.
Why are you pinning this on me? All right. Here's what I think. If I can put this forward, gentlemen, I think we should approach this where I think the final debate in this, and let me know if either of you disagree, is whether the lights should be, white versus multicolor lights. So I think that should.
You want that to be the last one?
I do think so. What do you guys think?
That sounds great to me.
Yeah, that feels like a very philosophical question, as opposed to taste. I think.
Yeah. So in that case, can we start with bulbs? Because I'm not sure I know the difference between the two.
Oh, sure. With the size of the bulb or the LED versus incandescent?
That one. I know size. That one I figured out at a very young age.
Boy, Hal, you've been missing out. You don't know the difference between LEDs and incandescents is like, I remember the first time I saw the purple ones or the blue ones, and I almost like crashed my car. They're like so much, I guess they're just much more powerful. I don't know. Mark, what did your research turn up?
Well, research wise, I've looked at, like environmental impact, which is very much in favor of LEDs. The jury is out on brightness because I guess, a lot of them, they will put multiple, diodes within one bulb, and that's what will make them so bright. If you have strands with individual, diodes, then those strands tend to be dimmer, and also there are few of them generally on a string of lights. So it can, like, the brightness factor can go in either direction. But definitely as far as the economics of it go, you will pay a little more up front for LED Christmas lights. I mean, a strand of Christmas lights is like $1 for 100 bulbs, just that regular old green string with the incandescent lights on it.
Right.
But those will burn out, significantly earlier. They burn out at 300 hours, usually as opposed to 4,000 hours for LED lights. So they will last you a lot longer. It does mean that you have to take them down every year and, maybe get more resale value on Craigslist for them.
Yeah. How many hours is in a lifetime of holiday season? Is there 4,000 hours? That's a lot of hours. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, depends on how heavily you celebrate the holidays, Drew. Some of us celebrate Halfmas.
Yeah. I think, like, how, do you guys, do you put your lights on a timer or, cause generally people's trees are not plugged in all the time, especially if they're, living trees or were once living because they're more of a fire hazard. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like generally in an evening, what do you have it plugged in like 3 hours?
That sounds about right.
So you get 3 months out of a string. Mark.
When I was a kid, we would leave it on all night.
Oh, perfect.
In the window. Cause the tree's in the window. So you want the neighborhood to be able to see it all night. And then in the daytime, you can't see the lights. So you turn it off. That was our way of doing it.
Okay.
But again, we were crazy Christmas lunatics.
But that would be beautiful. I mean, I think like seeing a Christmas tree against a dark house, and especially a 2-story tree, like that's always a very evocative image. Like, I don't know. I think having them on all night, that might, not that we're making that decision, but maybe that might tilt it towards the LEDs even a little bit.
Yeah. If you're using them a lot, I feel like we're really going to have to err on the side of LEDs.
Right.
That's where I'm tending to fall. Also because 15 people die every year from incandescent bulbs catching trees on fire.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I feel like we should have led with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Easy decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Safety, holidays, safety first.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. That's why Santa Claus wears red. It's so you can see him in the sky. If you're piloting a small plane or a helicopter, you won't run into him. And plus, that's the
yeah. And well, Rudolph has the nose. Yeah,
that's really why. It wasn't because of fog. It was like Santa's like, there are a lot more planes than there used to be. The deer goes first.
Then one crowded Christmas Eve.
All right, so LED.
All right,
bulb.
so LEDs win.
Great.
Let's move on to large or small.
Okay.
I realize they serve different functions. What do you guys like knee-jerk reaction to this?
Ooh, I think like when you're talking about a tree, like those big bulbs are nice. But I don't know, but I guess outside a house, like when they did your house, was it big bulbs or little bulbs? Like as I try to imagine it.
It was big multicolored bulbs.
Okay.
Like you would see in a honky-tonk bar. You know what I mean? Like I always think of those kind of bulbs as being honky-tonk bulbs.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember when those bulbs were in Roadhouse? They were really good.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's what they decorate Hooters with around the holidays.
Oh, wow.
And what they decorate Joe's Crab Shack with all the time.
So that you can never see what you're actually eating there.
Exactly.
Yeah, when you give me those two choices, when I think of large bulbs, I always think of commercial use. I think of them on the outside of a store or at like a mini golf course or Joe's Crab Shack all year round, where like I guess I very rarely see them around a tree in a house unless that tree is gigantic. Like it would make sense on your tree in your home, that 2-story tree. But I think like a traditional like 7 or 8 foot tree, it might look a little bit too big, right?
Yeah. Well,
maybe.
What are we talking about? That's the thing is, what are the best kind of lights for a house, for a tree? This is a problem that we haven't addressed yet.
Well, wouldn't the perfect light be flexible? Wouldn't it be just as good on the outside of a home as it would be wrapped around a tree?
I would tend to agree with that, Drew.
Yeah, I think there's another layer to this that kind of comes up with Mark's house and what you were saying, Hal, which is like this that it's also tied to this imagery. Like, I don't know, the bigger bulbs for me, they kind of transcend the light, because like you see Christmas art or holiday cards, they'll have like drawings of those, and they never show the stumpy LED bulb or the little.
Oh,
that's
So I
true.
don't know if
Interesting.
that gives them an extra, like, because they're almost like wired into our nostalgia, the image of that bulb, the bulb itself. So maybe that's a separate thing, that it's the image of the bulb versus the bulb itself.
Yeah, those are kind of an iconic Christmas image,
Yeah.
like in drawing form. Huh.
Like Disneyland or something, they would have those giant versions of those bulbs hanging in different places.
Yes. And not only that, but I was just, well, Mark used to work at Disneyland, and I have an annual pass,
I
so I
did.
go all the time. In fact, I'm going on Sunday. But right now, they give you can buy like a necklace that looks like string lights. And the lights that it looks like are those giant bulbs, which I assume are supposed to be giant incandescent, but really the glass is thick enough that you can put any kind of bulb you want in there and it won't be too bright. Because that was my thought originally with LED is, well, I want it to be a pleasant light. I don't want it to be a piercing light. But if you have these giant bulbs, that may solve that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, they absorb some of it and just makes the color burn brighter,
Right.
or the white burn brighter. This is a tough one. I didn't realize that the size would trip us up like this.
But then I guess like you weigh in versatility, and then that's where the big lights start to suffer, I guess.
Exactly.
Right. But, I mean, you could, well, look, you're not going to put them on a tabletop tree, but I guess you would just use fewer of them rather than not using them at all. Because when you have those smaller bulbs, sometimes it takes several strings to really embed in the tree so you get the proper light, right? Like
Are you guys, what is the proper amount of light for your tree?
ooh.
I don't know if there could ever be enough.
I'm the same way. I want so much.
Yeah, me too.
I want it to should be shocking. Yeah.
I want when I turn out the lights in the room, I want it to light the room with how many bulbs there are, but also be warm and welcoming. But you need a lot of light to do that. You can't just have sparse bulbage or wireage around your tree. Although, does every tree have a part that faces the corner that like nothing's been hung quite right?
Where you put the crummy decorations that you made when you were 7.
And it has
But you still are required to put on the tree.
Yeah.
Are you guys natural tree or artificial tree?
normally I'm natural. That's another thing I've been debating, and now maybe it's another great idea to check online. Like I'm like, well, maybe I should buy an artificial tree in July. But again, it's like always on my list, but never done.
Yeah. We've always, I mean, in the time that Jennifer and I have had trees, they've been artificial, and that's been out of necessity. I've never sat and thought about it that much. I know Jennifer prefers, an actual natural tree. And now they have the ones where you can have a living tree. They'll come and deliver it to you. You water it. It stays alive. Then at the end of the holiday, they pick it up and take it back to whatever tree farm it is, and they plant it, and that's your tree forever. So it's kept alive.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It is. I mean, look, how much do you care about the environment, Mark? You know, you have those incandescent bulbs killing people.
My care about the environment ends at enjoying picking out a Christmas tree and the way it smells. I'm real tree all the way.
Fair,
He
but
cares about the environment and joy. Joy is important too.
Yeah.
all right, guys, fine. So are we saying big bulbs?
Well, I guess the argument then comes down to, is it the iconic image of the bulb itself? Does that outweigh the beauty from the tiny lights filling up a tree? Like, which do we find more aesthetically Christmas? Is it looking at a tree when the rest of the lights are off in the house and seeing how brilliant it is? Is it seeing those large bulbs in their iconic glory hanging outside? That's the real question at this moment, I feel.
I think it would be the brightness, since we all kind of seem to build consensus around the brightness and the power of a humming tree. Maybe it is the tree over the iconic image.
Yeah.
I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah, I think so too. I did get swept away in that idea that you brought up, Drew, of like, if you give somebody a greeting card and they have lights on it, it's going to be those big bulbs because that's the shape they're supposed to have. But that doesn't necessarily, it's not like if I saw a string of small lights, I go, look at this pretender trying to be a real Christmas lights around here. What a joke.
How come there aren't Christmas light critics? Maybe I should start that next year. like your Christmas lights are terrible. Like, what are you doing?
We just go around and throwing eggs at every house display we don't like.
Yeah.
Instead of caroling Christmas, you need an extra word, but Christmas criticism.
There you go. Christmasism.
Yeah. Well, we'll put it into the Christmas carols. Yeah.
Your choice of lights.
Your lights suck worse than your neighbors. Fa la 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 la.
Take down your lights. Throw away your lights.
Your home is trash. We're getting really mean at Christmas time right now, guys.
We shouldn't do that. You know what we should do? Let's take a quick break right now. So that in the season of giving, we can give our listeners the gift of hearing about some of the other great podcasts on the Maximum Fun Network. I'm Hal Lublin.
I'm Danielle Radford.
I am Michael Eagle.
And we are the hosts of Tights and Fights, Maximum Fun's newest podcast dedicated to all things wrestling.
We'll be talking about Sasha Banks, the Women's Revolution, Sasha Banks, the brand split, and Sasha Banks' wigs.
And we'll also be talking about wrestler fashion. Some wrestlers wear too many clothes. Some wrestlers don't wear enough clothes at all.
And I'll be doing impressions of all your favorite wrestlers. New episodes Thursdays on Maximum Fun or wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, yeah, dig it.
Tights and Fights Podcast. Tights and Fights.
What do Maria Bamford, Jad Abumrad, Dick Cavett, Phoebe Robinson, Dan Deacon, W. Kamau Bell, Brooke Gladstone, and Andrew W.K. have in common? They've all been speakers and performers at past Max Fun Cons. Every Max Fun Con is a murderer's row of amazing stand-up comedians, thoughtful cultural leaders, and skilled artists, and Max Fun Con and Max Fun Con East 2017 will be no different. Visit MaxFunCon.com for dates and more information and to grab your ticket before they're gone.
And we're back.
And we went caroling while those ads were playing and told some people what we thought about their homes.
Yeah. Were we wassailing? Is it wassailing when you demand alcohol for your songs?
That's what caroling always was, wasn't it? It was wassailing. That's what it came from. It's, hey, we're going to sing your song. We're cold. Let us come inside and drink your booze.
That's brilliant. I never knew that. That's very, just very neighborly. I mean, actually, like when you look at it, it's like, what better way to kind of check out other people's lights and, get to know your neighbors. It's very, quaint in a good way.
I love that. Yeah. Not even their lights on the outside of their home, their external display. You get to see their interior lights and check out their liquor cabinet.
I wonder if the first time that was ever done, there had to be an awkward moment where the song was done. And then the person whose how it was like, well, all right. Well, thanks for singing. They were like, hey, we just did that song. It's so cold out here.
Yeah.
You could just let us in to drink some of your liquor and sit by your fire. What, boy?
Well, all I have is this wassail.
We'll take any port in a storm. Hey, do you have any port? Are you sure? Can you check in the cabinet just to see if you have any? Freeloaders.
I mean, maybe they just started saying, and I'm parched. You better be a good singer. You better be a good singer though if you're gonna pull that. Like the second song, you have to destroy it.
Yeah.
Or you play I'm gonna sing until you give me wassail.
That was how John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt was invented.
That's right. The first Christmas song was, "This is the song that never ends."
So, what is our next category, Mark?
Our next category is twinkling or solid.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have some strong opinions on this one.
Okay, I do not. I like to mix it up, actually. I'll put a couple strands of twinkling and a few strands of solid.
Drew, do you have a strong opinion on this one way or the other?
I think it would depend on who's doing the work. Like if I'm going to someone's house and there's there's twinkling lights and it's like coordinated, like I'm into that. But the few times I've tried as an adult, it's always like the saddest thing. It's like one like vertical line blinks and then another another line, like it's like some sort of geometry thing. And I'm like, man, but when it looks good, I think especially when we're talking about that moment and it's like 12 o'clock at night and you've come in and you plug the tree in and you're just kind of sitting there enjoying it, like having something moving or blinking is nice.
Unless it indicates that the tree is on fire.
that it blinks and smells. See, for me, like, and I know what you're talking about, the people who coordinate in every neighborhood. There's always one home where you pull up and you have to roll down your window because they've got Mannheim Steamroller's version of Carol of the Bells playing, and the whole house is blinking and dancing their lights along to it, and the lit up reindeer looks like it's jumping off the roof and into the sky, and it's always like, oh, that guy's an electrician, or that guy's an engineer. So it's like,
or that guy works at Disneyland.
Yeah. Oh, did you get that job just so you could learn how to decorate your home like that? Is it like, what is the chicken and what is the egg here?
Yeah.
But
Imagineering is definitely the chicken. The egg was, I really want to make one of those Mannheim Steamroller displays. Or not Mannheim Steamroller. Who am I thinking of?
Manhattan Transfer?
Am I thinking Mannheim
you
Steamroller?
Are. Yeah, they're the ones.
No, Manhattan Transfer's the acapella. Mannheim Steamroller is the crazy one. And Trans-Siberian Orchestra is the heavy metal Mannheim Steamroller.
Oh,
am I right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
All right.
But I also,
but are we talking about those? Or are we talking about like a gentle twinkle in a tree?
That's what I think it is. And I think to Drew's point, there is something very pleasing about the trees that blink, but I also think it matters how it's blinking, because some of them you can control and some of them you can't. And there are some where it gets so fast that it will induce a seizure in some people. Like you have to put a warning up on your front door before anybody comes in. I like the glow where it feels like you're by a fireplace, where the light it slowly glows up and then it glows down.
Right. You're thinking twinkling rather than blinking.
Yes.
Blinking implies synchronicity, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, like some of those like YouTube videos, if you see them, it's like they throw you into some sort of Christmas rage. Like the lights start to blink so fast. It's like, Christmas, like so. I think twinkling is a positive feature, where blinking is maybe that's like a pro level thing. Like either you're working in Imagineering and you can pull it off, or you spend all 11, like you're some sort of it's like your blind white whale quest to have the best Christmas decorations.
Well, it's not a white whale quest for everybody. Somebody's got the best ones in the neighborhood.
I would assume, so we had a friend of ours, Tommy Hackey, on the show a while back, and he is like a brilliant
engineer.
Guy. Yeah, engineer, but also like an Imagineer type guy, can build anything. I would imagine I would be really disappointed if he didn't have a really sick Christmas display.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he's got to do it up right.
Yeah.
We'll call him right now and make sure he's got that.
All right, let's get him on the line right now. Tommy, are you there? So do we prefer, so Mark, you do both. It sounds like, Drew, you prefer twinkling. Am I hearing that right?
I guess it would be like, I mean, if we're going to go out and eliminate all the Christmas lights from the world, except I think like I would miss twinkling, where static lights, it'd be like, oh wait, yeah, I guess like the absence of twinkling would hurt more than its presence. Maybe, I don't know how to say it.
I hear you though. It was if you only had to have one kind of light, you would rather have twinkling than solid. Because if you didn't have twinkling, you would miss it way more than just solid, constant light.
Yeah, unless you could take me back in time and have me, be born with I only know non-blinking lights. It's like I've never seen a twinkle in anybody's eye or anything.
Oh, that sounds so sad.
Yeah. Well, who wants to live in a world without twinkles?
In a world without twinkles.
I feel like part of this for me, it may be determined by whether we choose colored or white lights, because I feel like white lights twinkling is like beautiful stars and colored lights twinkling is like a strip club.
Really? What? Well, first of all, it sounds like you've spent a lot of time in strip clubs.
Only around the holidays.
They don't have the one right next to Joe's Crab Shack. Don't they have those giant bulbs in there?
Yeah, exactly. Look, man, the office has to have its Christmas party somewhere. Joe's was booked up. Hooters was booked up. The only place they had was the Mouse's Ear. Shout out to the Mouse's Ear in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Is that really a place?
That is a place. I've never been inside, but I always thought it was funny. On the way to school, we passed by the Mouse's Ear Gentlemen's Club, which is the dumbest name for a bar.
Yeah, what is the meaning of that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm like racking my brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless that's like one of those weird sex things.
Like, oh.
Hey, can you make the Mouse's Ear? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Let me show you.
Take a listen to the Mouse's Ear.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And coming up next.
That was a little blue for our show. I apologize. It's the holidays, guys.
Yeah. Could you put your Mouse's Ear away and be an adult for goodness sake?
Zip.
Oh, my goodness. I just passed out a little bit. Okay.
Welcome back. Oh gosh, are you seeing clouds? Did you drink fog juice?
I did. What year is it? Somebody get me a newspaper. Today's newspaper.
It's cool. It's 1965. Drew has never been born and he's never seen twinkling lights.
Yeah, so I won't miss him if we need to get rid of him.
Well, do we want to hold off then? Because if you're saying it depends, to me, it doesn't depend. To me,
if I'm the outlier in that, I can imagine beautiful twinkling colored lights and not think of the Mouse's Ear, and I'm fine.
Well, then we've done good work here today.
If everyone else is leaning onto, twinkling lights, I am 100%, down with following the crowd that is caroling around the neighborhood to all the twinkly lights.
Well, I think twinkling lights. That's my preference. So, Drew, I will leave it up to you. You are our guest, and whatever you say will not be incorrect. We will jump in with you, but I want to put the pressure on you.
I mean, I think like you just pull that like extra bulb out. Like if you have the ability to twinkle, you can untwinkle. So I think we should go with twinkling lights.
All right, twinkling.
I am in agreement. Twinkling. Fantastic. It is. All right. So we have now determined small LED twinkling lights. We're very classy, guys. Very classy.
Yeah.
And now all we've got to determine now is colored or white.
Well, this is really the crux of it all. This was what was in Consumer Reports, and this is what Craig wanted us to figure out. So, wow. Craig, this is it. I mean, I get, I'm feeling the pressure right now. Yeah, the stakes have never been higher. I think it's fair to say that on this show. Because personally, I feel like this is one of those things, every once in a while we'll get a suggestion where one or the other of Mark and I will go, I don't really know if there's much there. And then when you dig in, you realize you have very strong feelings about it. This is the opposite of that. I knew I had very strong feelings about it as soon as I saw Craig mention it. So, I have strong feelings.
Well, what is your strong feeling offhand?
Well, you know what? Before any of the three of us share our opinions, I told Ken Plume, our producer, who you saw earlier today, he stated to me, and I believe has also stated to you, what his ideal Christmas lights are. And he has very strong feelings about it as well. Do you remember what he said?
I don't. We did not discuss this at dinner tonight.
Well, I barely do. Sorry, Ken. I know he likes multicolored lights. And I've seen his,
Yes.
like, he really does it up. His Christmas tree is like, there are trains and there's a monorail going around it and tons of lights and like, he really does it up. But I don't.
Oh, he did show me the pictures of his Christmas tree, which include a giant Darth Vader in a Santa suit, by the way.
Oh, well.
Full size.
Ken has.
He's very good at this.
He has a lot of Darth Vaders. A crazy amount of Darth Vaders. And I'll talk to him and he'll go, I don't have that many Darth Vaders. And he'll be at his home and I'll say, how many Darth Vaders can you see right now? He's like, come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, no, there's one behind that book over there. That's 8. Before you know it, like he's gonna, one day, that house will be overrun. I mean, it's just too strong with the dark side of the Force, but he does use multicolored lights. So I'm putting that out there for him. And I believe he likes them twinkling as well. So Ken, your opinion has been stated for the record. We know you feel strongly about it.
Do you think Darth Vader could pop Christmas lights? That should be a power of his. Like with the Force, he could easily crush Christmas lights. And I guess.
Oh, sure.
Like, so would Ken's version of Darth Vader would be crushing all the just white Christmas lights. He would show up at people's houses and just pop them all.
Yeah. You have failed me for the last time, General Electric.
It is white Christmas lights or nothing. Do you think Darth Vader, that's assuming that Darth Vader's house looks like a pottery barn.
Yeah. That's what I think about the white Christmas lights as where I fear the issue almost. It's like it is a much more aspirational, like even in marketing, like when you think about the white Christmas lights. So it's like almost like I'm afraid. I'm like, man, is this too divisive to cover at the holidays? Like,
yeah. My mom was always white Christmas lights only, but my mom always fancied that, who's the woman that made the movie It's Complicated? All of her movies have that beautiful, like the homes. You're like, man, this house is just gorgeous and immaculate.
Nancy Meyer is who you're looking
Nancy
for?
Myers, yeah. Meyer, I don't know.
Myers, I think, maybe.
Myers. One is a serial killer from a movie series. One is a lemon. I don't remember which. But yeah, I feel like white lights are for people who want a more pristine, like the way that Christmas looks in a Hallmark movie, and colored lights are for like let's get down and dirty and fill and have those kids run downstairs to their full stockings and like tear into the gifts and drink and eat all day and have a million people in the house. You know what I mean? Like the colored lights feel more like a big down and dirty family Christmas.
Yeah, I feel like you have to, like, if you're going with just white lights, that's a commitment. I mean, that probably breaks up a lot of, I guess it would decide a marriage. That should be on like the questions of things. Like, because if you're not in with white lights for, like, it's like, well, there can, like, well, I love you, but there can never be any of these multicolored lights in the house, ever. Period.
Yeah. And then you know what we have? Separate Christmases.
Yeah. Separate bedrooms. You could just have a Christmas in each bedroom.
Ooh, I wonder if any couples have ever done that where it's like, all right, I decorate this room for the holidays, you decorate this room for the holidays. And then they're just totally different stylistically. That'd be fun to see.
If people are having a strong reaction to this issue, maybe they should send you guys some pictures of, say, well, I feel like you guys were totally wrong. I have, big white bulbs everywhere, and like to back it up with pictures, because I mean we could be erring, but I don't know. I feel like white lights always make me, when I thought about it, I was like, I started thinking about luxury car commercials. And
I was just thinking that, like a Lexus ad.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that I should have on white gloves and the right kind of coat.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it is peaceful. It does seem like a peaceful thing.
Yeah.
But I guess like with holidays, it's like, I want stimulation, man. Like you said, I want so many lights on that tree, it damages my eyes,
Yes. I'll tell you what, if
this is another one I will mix it up with too. I will put strands of white and strands of colored lights on the tree. I will do both.
You'll mix it. Well, I'll tell you what, I want to see the picture of both of your decorations. Because we're traveling for the holiday, I won't have pictures of mine, but I will take pictures of the displays that strike me. But if you're out there listening, take a picture of your holiday lights that you have up and tweet them to We Got This Tweets and Hal Lublin and Mark Gaggs and Dearest Scooter, which is the Twitter handle for Drew's podcast, and use the hashtag We Got the Holidays. And let's see your displays and how they're different from what we come up
I
with.
love this.
So there you go. A little audience participation. But here's how I sort of figure it out. Would you want, we've all seen like IKEA has these, or like a furniture stores like Pottery Barn, where it's like a white Christmas tree with silver and gold balls and just white string lights on it. So it to me, that's what white lights make me think of. There's something really sterile about it. And the way it is for me, like the holidays are about having tons of color and vibrancy, which is why I like those multicolor lights. It's never even close for me. I don't buy white lights if I'm going to buy string lights on my own.
I enjoy the aesthetic of Macy's holiday decorations or any big, where if I'm shopping and it's just white lights, I will appreciate the beauty of it, like the Grove and the Americana in Los Angeles. Right. But Rockefeller Center, the Christmas tree is all multicolored lights, but around the tree, the smaller trees are all white lights.
Right.
And throughout New York, you see a lot of like, an entirely blue tree or an entirely red tree. I think for business, that is, a great aesthetic, and I love seeing it if I'm out and about. But for home, I tend to lean toward, I love colored lights. Drew?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's another thing we've stumbled upon is like, there's this lake in Oakland called Lake Merritt, and it's surrounded by this beautiful string of white lights, and it reflects on the water, and that's beautiful. But yeah, like it feels like, I guess like even visiting a house with all white lights, it's like kind of like, okay, don't touch anything in this house. Like when you were a kid, it's like, oh boy, we got to get in and get out of here because we'll be lucky if we get to snack of carrot sticks.
I think we're all in agreement, but I want to hammer this home with one more point. Drew, if I'm not mistaken, Are you from or have you spent a significant amount of time in the Syracuse area?
That's where you're an expert at, accents or, that's where I grew up.
I know you have the accent, but I think I saw you either talking about it online or one of I think it was a recent episode of your podcast. Maybe you were talking about it. But that's where I went to school. I went to Syracuse University. So,
oh, wow.
So, and here's the thing. If you don't know Syracuse, and people from Chicago, so Mark, you'll appreciate this. You get that lake effect snow coming in off Onondaga, and lake effect snow are the biggest, thickest snowflakes you can imagine. And
they're beautiful.
It's like a snow fog. It's gorgeous. And I think in the distance, and correct me if I'm wrong, Drew, a display of multicolored Christmas lights will shine through lake effect snow better than a string of white lights. And it's more pleasant to look at. Like it creates a pleasant visual picture. Am I right?
You're like the auditory Norman Rockwell right now. It gets to my heart. Yeah, like when the snow is like sitting on those bulbs and it's just the lights playing through the snow. I mean, that's like or like you're driving up and you're stuck in the snow and you're seeing that Christmas light in the window. I think the colored lights, they do have the multicolor. It's just easier to see. And, I think it plays with the reflections on the water and stuff a lot better.
Well, there you go. I think we've reached our decision, gentlemen. Is that, do we all feel comfortable with the choices we've made here today?
I'm comfortable with it. I leave it, up to Drew for the final word.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's no wrong way to celebrate the holidays. And I think, like, as you said, like, people that have awesome, like, maybe there's, with the LEDs, maybe there's going to be a new, like, thing where it's like, well, I only do red lights or I only do blue lights.
Oh.
But I think that multicolor lights, they just, I don't know. I guess it's to me, it seems like, they're more, it goes beyond the lights, because I think all three of us are talking about it, and I could tell, like, on some other level, like, I'm feeling something, like, about, I mean, the holidays just, they do live somewhere deeper innocent or nostalgia, and I think the multicolor lights pull at those heartstrings a little bit harder than the plain white ones.
Well, there you go. Then it's to me to say, people of the world, what Drew said is correct. There's no wrong way to celebrate the holidays. Whatever holidays you choose to celebrate or not celebrate, there's no wrong way to do it. But there is a right way, and this is what it is. It's LED, multicolored twinkling lights, small bulbs. It's as simple as that. If you don't have them, I don't care what holiday you celebrate, get you some. It just makes your life better. I used to, in college, in Syracuse, and I had a room that didn't have proper insulation, which meant I had to I had to sleep fully clothed under 5 blankets. That is a true story. But in that room, I had twinkling multicolor lights up around the ceiling, and it was so pleasant to plug them in at night. It just helped me fall to sleep, and that's why those lights, they're a big hug. Just imagine a big light hug, and that's what those lights are, those small LED twinkling multicolor lights. So there you go, Craig and Consumer Reports and everybody out there, asked and answered. And speaking of other things that give you comfort and help you to rest, our guest, Drew,
this is a big hug.
Yeah, Drew, your podcast, the Sleep With Me podcast, just tell everybody who might not be familiar with it what it is.
So it's like a bedtime story for grown-ups. Every episode is just I kind of just talk. I mean, you could see I could kind of talk about anything, and I get excited. But on the show, I'll just be like, "Well, these are the best Christmas lights are ones that are, Christmas lights are hung on a string, strung on. Are you strung on a string, or do you hung it?" So I'll just talk on and on to kind of take your mind off stuff. Use boring, soothing tones. And I don't know, I always was like, I've had trouble sleeping, and I was always like, why isn't there bedtime stories for grown-ups? And when I was little and I couldn't sleep, I would listen to, like, Dr. Demento. I was listening to you guys' last episode, and listening to the comedy songs, and that never helped me fall asleep, but it relaxed me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, that's another thing about the podcast. It's like, I don't want people to dread bedtime, or be stuck on a plane or a bus, like you said, and like be like, man, I can't go to sleep, I just want to get some sleep. So if I could be a little goofy and like put people at ease, and then people can fall asleep, it just seems like, then you're then you're more free to spread holiday cheer to one another.
Yeah,
amen to that. And it is, your show is such a treat.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It is the one thing that my wife Jennifer, who's she's just a super creative person, so her mind is always racing. And the great thing about this podcast is that Drew's got a great voice for it, and his energy is just perfect. And you've perfected you've been doing it for several years now. You perfected the technique of keeping your mind occupied to the point where you're not rushing through thoughts, but not occupying it so much that you can't fall asleep. So it's really just, it's incredible. And the best thing is the podcast is free, but you can actually support Drew on Patreon. It's patreon.com/sleep with me. Is that correct?
Yeah. And thank you guys so much. I mean, it's like, if I can help anybody fall asleep, like Jennifer, it's like, or you guys, it's like, I know what it's like to have a racing mind and all that stuff. And it's just like, I know how unpleasant it can be, so it's a total honor to help anybody fall asleep. Thanks.
Well, you're doing some great work there, and so are you, Craig, and your list. Thank you for that suggestion. There's so many other topics that you have that's burning a hole in your brain that you need Mark and I to solve for you. We want to help. So you got to let us know what those topics are. And you can do that on Facebook, on our Facebook page, facebook.com/We Got This Podcast, or you can email us at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can reach out to us on Twitter at We Got This Tweets, or check out the Maximum Fun subreddit. A flame war is probably happening right now.
Thank you to producer Ken Plume, researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And of course, thank you to our musicians, Mike Furman and Jonathan Dinerstein, for our award-winning song and score, respectively.
And thank you to you, the people who listen. In this season of gifts, the greatest gift you give us is your attention and your time and your support and your comments, whether you agree with us or not. We really appreciate your participation, and we cannot thank you enough. We will continue to do this show for as long as we are physically able and bring on more great guests like Drew, who we already have another topic earmarked for. So Drew, you will come back and join us, won't you?
Oh yeah, it'd be my honor. Like, I mean, depending on how much hate mail I get from the white light only people.
Don't let them bring you down.
That was hell. That was hell.
Yeah, it's my fault.
I'm pretty sure we gave you the final word.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, why are you trying to put it on me, man? It's not even my holiday. Come on, brother.
But also remember, like, you can sell those Christmas lights on Craigslist come January. I'm a willing buyer, so I'll be out there looking for more lights and maybe even an artificial tree.
Perfect.
There you go.
Well, thank you, Drew. Thank you to our listeners. Happy holidays, whatever it is you celebrate. Kermit the Frog said it best when he said, I don't know if you believe in Christmas or presents underneath a Christmas tree, but if you believe in love, that will be more than enough for you to come and celebrate with me. So thank you for celebrating with us. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin. And don't worry, everybody.
We got this.
We got this.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned.
Listener supported.